Dr. Sarah Hayes, one of New York's leading heart surgeons, once had a life many only dreamed of. Talent, a brilliant career, and a warm, small family with her beloved husband, Daniel, and their 5-year-old daughter, Clara. Daniel was a gifted architect with a gentle smile and eyes always full of love for Sarah and Clara. Their suburban home, with its lush garden and radiant sunsets, was a peaceful sanctuary after Sarah's demanding work hours. Sarah's life was a perfect symphony until one fateful day. A tragic car accident snatched Daniel and Clara away right before her eyes. Sarah, with hands that had saved countless lives, was powerless to watch her dearest loved ones perish. The siren of the ambulance, the flashing lights, and the metallic smell of blood haunted her every night. She fell into a deep pit of despair, depression, and collapse. Her luxurious Manhattan apartment, once a symbol of success, now became a suffocating space filled with painful mementos. The hospital, where she was once a shining star, now became a prison of painful memories. She couldn't hold a scalpel, couldn't face the lives awaiting her help. The sharp eyes of a surgeon now held only emptiness and endless pain. Sarah locked herself in the darkness, refusing all help from friends and colleagues. She barely ate or drank, her sleep fitful with recurring nightmares. Her once golden hair was now disheveled, her face gaunt, and her smile had completely vanished. Every sound, every light irritated her, as if the world was trying to suffocate her. She felt lost, useless, and utterly disoriented. Calls from the hospital, from close friends, were all ignored. She just wanted to sink deeper into her own pain, isolated from the world she once belonged to. Sometimes she would sit motionless for hours, staring into space, her mind blank, with only the echoing screams from the night of the accident. Sarah's grandfather, Arthur Hayes, a kind man with silver hair and a warm smile, came to pick her up. He flew from Provence, France, to New York as soon as he heard the devastating news. Arthur didn't say much, simply held Sarah quietly in his warm embrace. He knew words were meaningless at that moment. What Sarah needed was his presence, unspoken understanding. Arthur lived in a small seaside village in Provence, southern France, where he had spent his entire life tending to his vineyard and the ancient house his family had owned for generations. His house, with its ancient stone walls and red-tiled roof, nestled against a cliff overlooking the Mediterranean. From the balcony, Sarah could see the endless blue sea, small boats gliding softly on the water, and majestic white limestone cliffs reaching out into the sea like guarding giants. Golden sunlight spread across the sea, creating shimmering, silvery streaks. In the distance, the white sails of yachts dotted the deep blue sky, bringing a strange sense of serenity. Arthur knew Sarah needed a place to heal, a place where the slow pace of life and the beauty of nature could soothe her soul. He spent the following days caring for her, not speaking much, simply being there, cooking delicious meals, and walking with her along the beach. He didn't force her to talk, just quietly placed a warm cup of herbal tea by her bed every morning, or brought a plate of fragrant homemade cookies. His gentle and patient presence was like a cool stream nourishing Sarah's parched soul. Gradually, Sarah began to feel the presence of the outside world, even if it was just faint rays of sunlight peeking through the cracks in the door or the distant sound of ocean waves. She was still immersed in her pain, but the nightmares had lessened somewhat, and she could sleep for a few hours each night. The gentle lapping of the waves was like a soft lullaby, soothing her emotional wounds. The small village where Arthur lived was a vibrant tapestry of colors and sounds. Winding cobblestone alleys with houses painted in brilliant hues, lavender, turquoise, sunny yellow, fiery orange, like colorful candies arranged side by side under the Mediterranean sun. Bougainvillea bloomed profusely on balconies, cascading down like soft silk curtains. Heavy grapevines promised a bountiful harvest. and the fragrant smell of freshly baked bread from the local bakery permeated the small streets. The laughter of children echoed in the wind, church bells chimed every morning, and the ceaseless lapping of waves created a gentle symphony of village life. Sarah gradually felt peace seeping into her soul. Each morning she woke up to the chirping of birds and golden sunlight streaming into her room. No longer nightmares, but a sense of lightness. She went to the market with her grandfather, buying fresh vegetables and fish just caught from the sea, still smelling of the ocean. She learned to garden, caring for the fragrant purple lavender plants and ancient olive trees with gnarled trunks, witnesses to time. Sarah began to draw again, a hobby she had long forgotten. She drew colorful houses, small boats on the sea, and radiant sunsets as the sky transformed from deep blue to pink, then fiery orange. Each brushstroke was a release of her emotions, allowing suppressed feelings to flow out. One morning, while walking on a village path, Sarah came across an old woman struggling with a cart full of vegetables. Instinctively, she went to help. The old woman, with a kind face and gentle eyes, smiled and thanked her. "Young lady, are you new here? I'm Colette, the owner of the bakery at the end of the village." Sarah nodded, and it was the first time in many months that she truly spoke to a stranger. Colette offered her a warm, fragrant loaf of freshly baked bread. Sarah took a bite, the sweet taste of wheat and yeast spreading in her mouth, awakening long-dormant taste buds. From then on, Sarah often visited Colette's bakery, not just to buy bread, but also to chat, listening to the everyday stories of the villagers. She began to feel like a part of this place, even if only a small one. One afternoon, while sitting on the beach, Sarah saw a man standing alone, his gaze distant, looking out at the sea. He had salt and pepper hair, a tall build, and a pensive expression, as if carrying a long story within him. That was Julien Moreau, owner of a large supermarket chain in Marseille, who had come to this village to find peace after his broken marriage. His wife had cheated on him and deceived him, taking a large portion of his assets, leaving him with a shattered heart and a loss of trust. Julien also carried deep emotional wounds, a smoldering pain he couldn't share with anyone. He sought this place, a small peaceful corner of the world, hoping to find solace for his soul. He often came here on weekends, renting a small house near the sea to escape the city's noise and painful memories. Julien and Sarah first met at Mrs. Marie's small cafe, a kind woman with a constant smile and sharp eyes. Sarah was sketching an old boat on the beach, her pencil strokes gliding gently across the paper, while Julien was reading a book, his eyes scanning the pages but his mind drifting to distant places. He ordered a black coffee and sat at the opposite table. Their eyes met, a brief but meaningful moment. Julien gave a slight smile, a rare smile on his pensive face. Sarah nodded gently in response. A small spark of light flickered in Sarah's heart, something she thought she would never feel again. They started talking, initially polite questions about the weather, about the village, then gradually deeper. Julien told Sarah about his life, about the losses and pain he had experienced, his voice deep but filled with sorrow. He didn't hide his disappointment and hurt from being betrayed. Sarah also opened up, sharing her tragedy, her first words after a long period of silence. She told him about Daniel and Clara, about the fateful accident that took everything from her. They found deep empathy in each other, two wounded souls finding comfort in one another. They walked along the beach together, watching the magnificent sunset paint the sky red, and shared stories about their lives, about unfinished dreams and lingering hopes. Julien took Sarah to pristine beaches, mysterious caves with clear water, and winding paths through green pine forests where the scent of pine drifted on the wind. He showed her wild flowers blooming on the cliffs, seabirds soaring in the sky, and small villages hidden in the valleys. Once, as they were walking on a coastal path, Sarah slipped and fell. Julien quickly caught her, checking if she was hurt with clear concern on his face. In that moment, Sarah felt Julian's warmth and genuine care. She realized that even though she had lost so much, life still held good things waiting for her. Julian was a warm and thoughtful man. He always knew how to make Sarah smile, bringing her small joys in life. He told her humorous stories about his work, about adventurous trips, and about his dreams. Sarah felt her heart gradually warm. She began to realize that life still had many beautiful things, and that she deserved to be happy. One afternoon, as Sarah and Julian were chatting at the harbor, a small boy suddenly fell and hit his head on the side of a boat. The wound bled quite a lot, causing panic among those around. By professional instinct, Sarah immediately rushed over. She quickly examined the wound, reassured the boy, and instructed everyone on how to temporarily stop the bleeding with a clean cloth. Her hands, which had once trembled while holding a scalpel, were now surprisingly steady and skilled. Julian stood beside her, watching Sarah's actions in amazement. He saw the light return to her eyes, a focus and decisiveness he had never seen before. After the boy was taken to the local clinic, Julian looked at Sarah with admiration. "You are an excellent doctor," he said, his voice sincere. Sarah smiled faintly, her first truly radiant smile in many months. In that moment, she realized that she still had value, that her knowledge and skills could still help others. Their love blossomed naturally and gently, like wildflowers by the roadside, not loud but persistent and full of life. They were not rushed, but slowly explored each other's souls, little by little, like gentle waves lapping the shore. Julian took Sarah to ancient hilltop towns, where colorful houses clung to cliffs, overlooking the deep blue sea, like living oil paintings. They enjoyed local dishes together, sipped fragrant rosé wine, and watched the simple life unfold, savoring every present moment. Sarah found peace in Julian's embrace. He didn't try to fill the void in her heart, but simply stayed by her side, listening and understanding, like a true confidant. He helped her see the beauty of life, of nature, and of the small things around her, things she had missed before in her busy routine. She began to write a diary, recording her feelings, the beautiful memories she had experienced with Julian, each page soaked with hope and love. One evening, while sitting on the balcony of her grandfather's house, Sarah and Julian watched the starry sky together, the twinkling stars like diamonds on a black velvet curtain. Julian held Sarah's hand and he said, "Sarah, I know you've been through a lot of suffering, but I believe we can build a new life together, a life full of love and happiness." Sarah looked into Julian's eyes, and she saw sincerity, warmth, and boundless love there. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. They were tears of liberation, of healing, and of a new beginning, a promise for the future. However, the path to happiness is not always smooth. One day, Julian's ex-wife, Isabel, unexpectedly appeared in the village. She had heard that Julian was in a new relationship and wanted to cause trouble, perhaps out of jealousy or to demand more money. Isabel sought out Julian, trying to manipulate him with venomous words and fake tears. Sarah, even though she had heard about Julian's past, still felt a little insecure. Julian confronted Isabel directly, not giving her a chance to hurt him further. He explained everything clearly to Sarah, affirming his love and trust for her. "I've learned my lesson, Sarah," he said, holding her hand tightly. "You're the only one I want to be with." Julian's transparency and steadfastness strengthened Sarah's faith in him, and their relationship became stronger than ever. Sarah and Julian married in a cozy ceremony at her grandfather Arthur's house, under the gentle golden sun of Provence. Only their closest family and friends attended, creating an intimate and warm atmosphere. Sarah wore a simple wedding dress with a lavender wreath in her hair, exuding graceful and simple beauty. Julian wore a beige suit with a radiant smile on his face, his eyes full of happiness. Grandfather Arthur, with teary eyes, gave Sarah away to Julian, and he knew his granddaughter had found true happiness. The melodious accordion music echoed, and traditional Provençal dances warmed everyone's hearts. The party took place under twinkling lights and the scent of lavender, a magical night marking a new beginning. They decided to stay in the seaside village, which had healed both their emotional wounds. Julian still managed his supermarket chain, but he spent more time with his family balancing work and personal life. He expanded his supermarket chain to nearby towns, bringing more jobs and fresh produce to the community. Sarah opened a small art gallery in the village, where she displayed her paintings and taught art to local children, inspiring future generations. Her gallery became a favorite destination for tourists and locals, where they could find emotional artworks and learn from a talented artist. She also volunteered at the village's medical clinic, using her medical knowledge to help people, bringing health and joy to the community. Her expertise saved many lives in emergencies, making her an indispensable part of the village. Their lives passed peacefully and happily. They had 2 children, a boy and a girl, children who carried a combination of Sarah and Julian's beauty and intelligence, growing up surrounded by family love and care. Their home was always filled with laughter and joy, warm meals and stories told by the fireplace. Grandfather Arthur, with his white hair, often sat in his armchair, watching the children play and smiling contentedly, witnessing his grandchildren's happiness. He taught the children how to garden, how to care for grapevines, and told them fairy tales about the sea. In the late afternoons, Sarah and Julian often walked along the beach together, holding hands and watching the sunset as the last rays of the day melted into the ocean, creating a mystical painting. The sea was still blue, the waves still lapped gently, but now, in Sarah's heart, there was no longer pain but complete peace and love. She had found healing, not by forgetting the past, but by accepting it and living fully for the present, cherishing every moment. Many years passed. Sarah and Julian continued to live happily together. Their children grew up, succeeded in their careers, and started their own families. Their young grandchildren often visited their grandparents, bringing laughter and excitement to the seaside home. Sarah, now with silver-streaked hair and wrinkles at the corners of her eyes, still retained her graceful beauty and radiant smile. She still painted, still tended her flower garden, and was still a devoted doctor to the village. Julian, though older, still maintained his charm and warm eyes. He remained Sarah's life partner, confidant and strong support.